Om Mani Padme Hum. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Sorry for the slight delay. But we are here all together. Thank you very much. It's a lovely day. Here we have quite a few of us Dharma friends and residents and our Bhutanese pilgrims who are always present here more often than our members. So it's very good. Today I'm here at Virupa Retreat Center, and we're going to have a regular refuge and prayers first before we do 30 minutes of doing calm abiding meditation sit. And after that, we're going to have a special Q&A with Lydia. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to send them. And so we will address them. So thank you very much. Everybody join together. Please think of all the people in the world that are in completely exposed in devastating war and many natural disasters. I have never seen such a bad few years. And it's we thought we were having our opening after finishing the pandemic, but human-made pandemic is just getting worse as the war is just looming without anybody trying to put a hold, but taking sides and justifying aggression and violence. So this is very, very sad and very troubling time. And we are not talking about small skirmishes here. We're talking about completely destroying whole communities by aggression. So we know that teachings of the Buddha is the only messages of peace that people should pay heed to, either in individual, personal, interpersonal conflict, let alone international conflict. There's no place for aggression or violence. So as we sit in meditation, in calm abiding meditation, we know that we need to make peace within ourselves, and we dedicate this effort to allaying of all this looming aggression in the world. So thank you, everybody. And Abu Dharma Sangha Atere Vyada Halajama Bhavaja Ajandala Ajare Padadu and Abu Dharma Sangha Atere Vyada Halajama Bhavaja Ajandala Ajare Padadu. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a path from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those nearby. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a path from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those nearby. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. and the cause of suffering. Hidden ever from the happiness that suffering may that free from attachment and aversion to those never and far. So we'll do the now meditation. This meditation will be in 3 slots of 10 minutes. So you will be sitting still and what I call observe 4S. The first is stillness. Posture is still. Keep the back straight, eyes focus properly, and all the right postures, which I don't need to remind you. And second S is sincere. Your motivation should be very sincere, wholeheartedly doing it, not distracted or agitated or otherwise. And third is the serenity. Your attention should be serenely focused on the posture, on the incoming breath. When you're doing this qualify rounds, forward counting, to the forward counting of breath, you just count from 1 to however many times you can count after each round of breath. And then when we do the third slot, it's reverse counting of super qualify round breathing. So these 3 slots we will do. You have to pay serene attention. Your attention shouldn't be distracted or dull or unengaged, but stay with that very object. And you do this all very simple, not complicating. Try to remain very still, sincere and serene, calm, and then sit in meditation. I'll use the gong to indicate the time of the duration, which will be 10 minutes for each of the 3 slots. Lydia not here.
They went to
Disappear.
festival.
She's meant to do the questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I can't see the audience in this. So, huh?
Shall I log in as a user?
No, it's okay. I can.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi, everyone. Rinpoche, thank you so much for coming to VRC to host the regular 11 a.m. Come Abiding meditation session. It's a really also special day for us. We're celebrating our friendship together and also farewelling one of our residents, Tachin, who many of you have become familiar with. I think Tachin was part of our society for, or he's been part of our society for more than 23 years, Tachanla, is that right? Something like that. But he's resided in at Virupa Retreat Centre for at least 14 years.
18.
Wow, 18 years. 18 years. Well done, Tachanla. So Tachanla's here today, and welcome everyone in person and online. And so to extend the session today, we're doing a Q&A with Rinpoche. Rinpoche, thank you for agreeing to this. And so the first question, Rinpoche, is either, whether we've started practicing the Dharma, 5 days ago or 20 years ago, and so on. We, as practitioners, as maybe initiating the practice or having practiced for a long time, we continue to have afflicting emotions. And sometimes, of course, when you've been practicing for such a long time and you're still afflicted by emotions, could you give us a little bit of insight on how do we deal with that?
Well, most people in the West, or maybe new to Buddhism, always think that once they start learning Dharma and Buddhism, they will soon become less afflicted, and they become enlightened almost very quickly. But in Buddhism, we know that it's just to become conscious how afflicted we are, and then treating others who are afflicted kindly and not therefore judge each other, and is the most important function of knowing that we are afflicted. While afflicted, but not making it more afflicted actions, is being a Buddhist. Try to be totally free of affliction will take a couple of eons, So therefore, to know that you are afflicted is already a Buddhist. To know that one is afflicted, and no matter how much you try to study or meditate or practice, the more you practice, more conscious you are of how many layers of afflictions there are, from gross to subtle, from near to remote, from past afflictions to present new afflictions. So you will notice that. So therefore, even His Holiness Dalai Lama says that after, he's now 89, and he says towards the end of his life, he hopes to be able to succeed the path of application, which is only the second path of accumulation of merit. And if you have path of accumulation merit, at least you have the merit to acknowledge how afflicted we are. And then path of preparation have a conceptual understanding of this. Even afflictions are not real, let alone the causes of the affliction. So you have conceptual understanding of afflictions not being real and not so intimidating as they may have been, but instead enables you to have compassion to oneself and others who don't know that the afflictions are nature of every sentient beings. So we have to be gentle and kind to each other, and therefore we become practitioner on the path of application. Means we are joining towards the enlightened ones, so that we do not throw stones at others who throw stone at us, because they do so under the afflictions of anger, and we know they are afflicted, and we know we are, if we are less afflicted than they are, we should not throw stones at them. We should feel compassion to them, that they don't have the a kind of reserve of merit to restrain themselves, as we might have a little bit of that. So if we can exercise restraint of our afflictions at the intimidation by others, that is the path of accumulation merit. So you are a practitioner who's continue to stock up the merit of tolerance where it needs to practice, and not call zero tolerance. in this zero tolerance society, there is zero merit. Zero merit. So those practitioners who are what we call beginners on the path of accumulation, they actually are trying to practice at least 1-digit tolerance. Those people who practice, who are on the path of intermediate accumulation, maybe a double-digit tolerance. You know, and I'm just using as an analogy. And then, and if your merit is very good, so very good, to the extent of the highest path of accumulation, to the extent of reaching path of preparation, then you would have a unconditional tolerance. Unconditional tolerance, because you know the subject and object and problems don't truly exist from its own side. So the object that causes your affliction to arise and yourself who's afflicted and actions are all interdependently originated. There's nothing independently there. And so we know that intellectually, but your merit actually sometimes allow you to have that belief and hold that belief for good 4 hours or 8 hours and that not lose your sensibility. See, this is starting to then go into the path of preparation. Path of preparation has this its own four stages. This is low battery, it says, Lydia. And so because of that, it is important to know that we are afflicted. Most difficult one is to know that we are afflicted. So as a practitioner, we should know we are afflicted. Therefore, we take refuge in the Buddha. We recite mantras. We do practice. We do meditation. We study Dharma so that we become more conscious of our afflicted nature, of our own traits, of our own habits, of our own resentment and our own ill will, how debilitating these things are, and then try to contain them. If when you're able to do that, that is better than not knowing we're afflicted. So a good Buddhist is who identify himself, herself as a deluded, and have no hesitation to call, I'm deluded. And that is if you know you are deluded, you're definitely on the path of accumulation. And then if you see other people are just as deluded, you will see we are in the same boat. So what right does give it to me for judge and throw stones at him? So we'll feel mutually compassionate and accepting of each other. If you have merit is a little bit stocked up, then we become able to practice compassion to them. They don't have Dharma, they don't have refuge. I am blessed with precious human rebirth. Therefore, I have great fortune to practice this. Unlike them, they have not even heard the Dharma. They haven't got any positive influence. So because of that, we feel compassionate to them. They're like an old, frail, blind person. We're a young person with fit senses. So we feel, it's my duty to help the frail, old, sick. And then we develop compassion. So therefore, it's afflicted sentient beings who are the subject and object and benefactors of our practice of unafflictedness. If we can ever prove that we are less afflicted, then we can practice compassion to those who are afflicted. So this is really a very good question. And so we can only practice compassion, and compassion is not a desperate act. It is the highest. It is the butter that comes from the churning the milk of Dharma, of study or discipline or whatever. Have the good discipline meditation that empowers you to have the merit to practice compassion to fellow sentient beings who are deluded and don't know they are. So that is our practice of really a person following the way of Dharma. So we have to be very gentle with ourselves, be patient, not try to become perfect within these very short few years of practice. You know, we know lots of people who really, after a couple of months of years of Dharma, they think they could really get enlightened. They could all this, and then once they realize it's not possible, then they pack up and go. They leave, and then they meet somebody else and become Jehovah's Witness. People do that. They change their religious belief like clothes, because they're practicing Buddhism without beliefs. But Buddhist people who are Buddhists are practicing beliefs in them. It takes many lifetimes. And we have to believe in existence of past lives as well as future lives. And therefore not be so impatient to get everything right within one very lifetime, and not lose a faith in a belief in the Dharma, and then find something else. Then this is what the Buddhists without beliefs are talking about. They're so impatient. They become basically wrong view holder. So we have to be strong not to lose our faith and understanding of Dharma just because we are still afflicted. But with afflicted sentient beings, we have greater practice compassion. What if everybody's Buddhas and we can't practice patience with anybody because everybody's so perfect and so nice? And you can't, you come in the wrong place. You can't get enlightenment with enlightened ones. You can only get enlightened with the deluded ones. That's why the late Dzongsa Jamyang Khyentse, Chökyi Lodro, he's Pandro, who just before she passed, someone asked her the question where she was afraid to be reborn. She said, as of her choice of pure realms, she said, I'll pray to be reborn in the hells. That's a real practitioner. That may she be useful to help those people who are struggling in the hell, rather than joining the ranks of those in the pure realms. So that's the attitude of good Buddhist practitioner should be.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Everyone. Rinpoche, thank you. That was wonderful. And may we continue to reflect on that. Rinpoche, the second question, and just to outline, I have 3 questions for this session. So the second question is, from, say, a modern psychological perspective, there's this concept that we call the inner child, and everyone's quite familiar with that in some ways. But really what that points to is this idea that we have coping mechanisms that we have developed from a very young age. And those coping mechanisms continue with us as patterns and habits. And so from a Buddhist perspective, could you give us some ideas and some skills and solutions on, from a Buddhist perspective, how do we deal with coping mechanisms that are no longer working for us as adults?
Yes, we are always child. To say we are child is an understatement. We are aged child and blind on top of that. So therefore, various coping strategy of the mundane kind is not really tenable unless one is able to grow up to be less selfish and more compassionate and more thoughtful of other people. When we realize the virtue of being thoughtful of other people, we grow many years worth within a couple of days. Otherwise, we are getting older. We are aging because of selfishness. The more you think of me, the more it ages you, more it makes you frail and completely dependent. You're completely useless, let alone you're useless because you can't even cope your problems, because all your problems are created by your own selfishness. And if one can understand that all childishness is because one creates one's own problem afflictively. One doesn't know one is doing them. One is always trying to scapegoat someone and something as cause of their problem. They themselves don't want to take any responsibility of their problems. So therefore, they want to be always looked after, always cared for by others, like being mothered by everyone. And a lot of the time, maybe people are spoiled by the parents in particular, not letting the kids to grow up and become independent by themselves. They've been either too controlled dictatorially as a parent, or whatever ways, as if they love the child so much, and it's too much for the child to do everything on their own or by themselves, and they always get done for them. So they get so spoiled so many years, and they never learn to actually take any responsibility. So from the ordinary upbringing point of view, definitely there are certain parenting styles by which the dictatorial parent makes the child, and sometimes the parent is dictatorial. They just want to make sure the child gets everything what they need, and they won't know how to do by themselves. As a result of, they always sort of cuddle the child from, sort of metaphorically, from every side, that that something may go wrong if they have to do by themselves. So they are not allowed to be independent early enough. So modern education and parenting things have taught few things, but from the Buddhist perspective, which is the main answer that we try to offer, is that unless we have Dharma, we are orphans. We are indeed not only child, but we are orphans. But when you have refuge in the triple gem and totally believe in the Dharma and the teachings of the Buddha and try to practice every day, then this will help you to cope better. Because the moment you try to look after others and look after the well-being of others who are less fortunate than ourselves, then our own problems don't even feature as a problem. You don't have to cope with the problem you don't have. You create the problem by selfishness. When you become more altruistic for the benefit of others, your own problem just disappears. It doesn't become relevant anymore. Why? You got bigger things to do. That is to look after your elderly parents or friends or colleagues or someone who in need. When you start focusing things you go out and do for others, then your own problems you don't even feature in your kind of a range. So therefore, one of the most important way to cope with the difficulties is how we can be more useful to others, how we can be more beneficial to others. I'm not saying that you have to spread too far, but to near and dear whoever we have responsibility to, whether there's an elderly one or younger ones or someone little bit need lots of help. The more we are able to extend them and embracing them, look at them, then we grow. We didn't realize how much we are needed by others. Otherwise, we become so needy of others to us. But when we know the need of others, of our energy and effort, then we grow emotionally, intellectually, and behaviorally too. Realize, I didn't know I can do that and make him or her happy. Oh, I can do that more. Once you start doing that, you are already resourcefully beneficial and you have positive effect on other people. So you don't have to cope a problem that you don't create. You are making a useful dispensation of your right effort. But nevertheless, when we talk about coping strategy in Buddhist point of view, if you can't probably see that. Maybe you can. I don't know. There is a cross vajra there in front. No, cross vajra. Yeah, small cross vajra. In Buddhist symbol, the cross vajra on the cushion. Yeah, cross vajra. These 4 cross vajras are the four methods of coping strategy. And what is it? We call 4 methods. First, you always use peaceful method. White one is first always use peaceful method. Try to make peace with yourself or with whoever. Try to do peacefully. And if you use peacefully, physically, you should body language that is peaceful, verbally speak kindly to each other, and emotionally try to extend sincere and kind thoughts. You have to use peaceful method, to resolve the issue. If you're not coping with somebody, it's maybe you haven't tried the peaceful method first. First, always use the peaceful method. And then second one is yellow. The yellow means you have to be generous, You maybe have to give something to him or her, not to bribe them, so to speak, just to win their heart for you. Just give something to them and then make them feel that you actually love them or respect them or care for them. Once you're able to do that, then they will be much more willing to listen and talk to you. Maybe there is something that you could say that they will pay heed to. Otherwise, they don't want to listen to us because we are neither peaceful. Maybe our peaceful, we never tried peaceful way. And we didn't practice the generous way. Such generosity, the second one. And the third is getting now serious, If you haven't used diplomatic one, which is peaceful one, and then generous one, always try these two first, coping strategy. If you have given something to somebody, they already become your friend. You wouldn't believe next time they'll do anything. Because you have given a time or energy or some thoughts or some advice or whatever it is. When you give them, they'll listen to you, So you don't have problem of lack of cooperation by other people. If these two hasn't worked, then third one is using power. Power means not using force, but positive influence. Maybe they respect someone, and if you to go through his or her influence to them, then they may listen. So using the coping strategy of using people that they respect or they may listen to. And so using powerful positions or influence that might persuade the person or yourself, for instance. Maybe you can use a little bit of that to yourself, You can use yourself a little bit of a threat, If you're not going to do this, I'm not going to let that tomorrow. You can tell yourself, I'm not going to take you to the ski or whatever. If you're not going to be kind to this or whatever. So you can give a little bit of a sort of use a little bit of positive kind of persuasion, power, we call power one, we used to use. And the last but not least is the blue one. The blue one is wrathful. Then you use the wrathful approach, You just don't talk to him or her for fear. You just refuse to talk unless they change. I know some people who have worked that because their husband was drinking or whatever problem, lots of them. She just have to kick him out for a couple of months. Not because she wanted to, but unless he really come to know. No, she didn't have any intention to lose the husband and the father to the children, but she wanted to do it. Otherwise, it hasn't worked. It hasn't peaceful, doesn't work. And then when the person had to face not allowed to be at home and without all the other things of doing this, and then the person actually learned the hard way. So then they realized that people can be persuadable by using such techniques. So I think that we should always use these 4 strategies, but in that sequence. Yeah, not most people try the fourth one first. Fourth one first and never try the first or second, little on the third one. So we should always use, particularly Buddhists, always use the peaceful option first. Yeah, so I think we can do that even to ourselves. We can talk to ourselves nicely. Because quite a lot of time we are quite angry at ourselves. We are self-aggressive. We are quite really resentful towards ourselves. they say, I hate myself. It's terrible. I mean, the people are hating themselves, so they're resorting to aggression towards themselves. Self-hatred is cause of suicide. And lots of people then end up actually bottling those feelings, and then out they go in a massacre, because they've been bottling up these things. So therefore, it's very important to find a peaceful way first, and generous and power, and then, if possible, a fierce compassion.
What color was the power one?
Power one is red. Yeah, you look at the Cross Vajra clockwise. The blue, they put the green one. That's fine. The blue or green, so green. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. White, yellow, red, green. Yeah.
Green? No.
Yeah, green or yellow doesn't matter. The green. Yeah. Yeah, green. Yeah, usually green. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually green.
Those online can Google it.
Those online can Google it.
The meaning of the 4 Vajra.
It's 4 critical.
4 activities.
4 activities are the 4 strategies. 4 strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rinpoche, thank you. Hi, everyone. So, Rinpoche, the last question for today. So, in the next couple of days, officially, it's the so-called pagan festival of Halloween. And so, you would see both online and also people at home, and shops are full of all sorts of paraphernalia to prepare. But of course, this festival has a lot of meaning, especially socially, bringing people together, and kind of the original meaning that, we celebrate the death, and also removing fear of dying and the dark side, if you like, of life and the psyche, and ghosts, meaning that those who have passed on the other side, we usually fear them because we fear death. Rinpoche, the question for you, if you can please tell us, what is the equivalent, or if there is an equivalent Buddhist festival or a Buddhist practice, and also some tips on fear of dying and the fear of ghosts and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Asking this question to our ghost. Now the ghost will answer questions about ghosts. When this consciousness leaves the body, then it becomes ghost. But when this consciousness in this body, it's an accepted ghost. So it's friend. Yeah. Anyway, this week it coincides with from the Buddhist calendar, Buddha's descension from the heaven to the world. Reason was because his mother died when he was only less than a week old, and his Buddha's mother, Mayandevi, passed away, and he was basically without a mother. If it wasn't his stepmother, he was completely motherless. He was didn't have a mother. So she was a ghost. She became a ghost. But of course, she was born quickly as a goddess in the heavenly realm of 33 realms. So there is a time, according to Buddhism, that everybody, when they leave the body, before they find a new rebirth, they remain as a ghost for at least 7 to 7 weeks, 1 to 7 weeks.
You have 49.
49 days, yeah, maximum. And each and every one of us, the spirit, the consciousness, is namshe. We call namshe. If If I die, for instance, which is very eminent, by the way, so it's not an if, it's just question is when. And when either any of us dies, our consciousness is considered a ghost, you know. And most of those ghosts, don't have any knowledge that they died. They live on as the mother, as the father, as the uncle, as the shopkeeper, or whatever it is. They still always go to the shop, always. They don't know they're dead. So they remain. So therefore, the whole energy of this deceased person, he goes to the places, to the work, to the home, to the bedroom, to the dining with people, but nobody sees him. And so we all come back. We all come back, you know. At least during, I mean, if you're very, very good practitioner, you wouldn't come as a ghost, you know, and they will straight away go to pure realms, you know. There are only two kinds of people who don't become ghosts. They are the fully realized ones. At the moment of death, they go to the pure realms, or those who have created very heavy karma go straight to the hell realms. But the majority all become ghost, you know. And that ghost is not seen or understood by everyone. So the death is very important meditation subject in Buddhism. You meditate on death to the interest of the living. You meditate not on the death of others, you meditate on the impending death of yourself, so that you rehearse the death, that you do not fear of its coming, but rather you anticipate of the inevitable. Because death doesn't happen suddenly. Death is happening momentarily. Death means change, you know. Change is happening all the time. You are psychophysically changing from last 10 years to now. If you look at your photos, your heights, your ability, your body contours, and particularly those who have become big from young and, you know, shrunk from tall, or becoming fat, being slim, or whatever, or those who have shrunk because you have now old, or you have wrinkled up. It's already dying. Your body is full of sign of death. You know, every day we are shedding off many flakes of dead skins. And how many hairs drop in the bathroom? You can see. Are they you, or are they ghosts of your hair? You quickly flash the visible ghost. We call physical ghosts, you know. So when the hair is not on the head, it's dead. But hair on the head is, we think we are the hair. But if you take the hair away, if you take the skin away, if you take the flesh away, and the bone away, and lung away, and intestine away, there's no you. But that which animates this carcass, what we call, you know, ghost, you know, whether it's holy or evil, who knows, or civilized. Sometimes you can see someone is really ghost, you know, the ghost in the sense of the presence of their energy, hence dense and tense energy. So for Buddhists to not to become familiarized with death, and not to interact with the dead body, not to honor the deceased for those 7 weeks or so, is not Buddhist. Buddhists must always attend to the post-death rituals, prayers for 7 weeks to their uncles, mothers, sisters. When you do that, then you realize this is the culture. So you do not fear and deny death, but you anticipate what is inevitable. Because of that, death is a more like a spiritually important, because when you think of death, all the problem becomes so non-existent. All the problems die. So the problems are only real when you think not dying, which is just denial of death. Death will happen even if you deny. So therefore, one way to overcome the fear of ghost is that we are all ghosts. We are all ghosts, basically. We just ghosts. We are just all, what do we call? We are all formalized human beings. We are registered human beings, but previously ghosts. We were all ghosts, and only say when we say I'm 29 years old means prior to that I was a ghost for 7 weeks. So what were you when if you're 29 years old, but what were you before the 29 years? You were a ghost at least for a couple of weeks, couple of months. And then ghost to whom? The one body of the previous one. So ghost is the kind of between, what we call bardo. It's a kind of limbo of this life to the next. We become ghost. We call them ghost. So for a Buddhist person, in order not to idealize ourselves as something special, but we are all ghosts. Ghost means consciousness. Ghost basically means consciousness. Others call them soul. But these days, most people think ghost is dead people who have come back as a ghost. Shinre, we call. Shinre means those who are dead, but they have become so they have come to haunt the place, And they usually come, not because they want to haunt you. They love you. They're attached to the home. They love you as a daughter and a mother and an uncle, and she doesn't want to go yet. Her spirit hasn't gone because she still has not understood that she's dead. There's lots of people who finished their job or position 20 years ago. They still think they are that, I have this neighbor who's a Pakistan ex kind of ambassador. He still thinks he's ambassador, That was 30 years ago, but he still thinks he's an ambassador. But he's a just old, frail gardener when you look at it, but he thinks he's the ambassador. Yeah, so there's that kind of ghost of whatever person previously was, either so good or so proud or whatever. So people linger on. And so that's why in Buddhism, we know that our body is basically a physical ghost. We have emotional ghosts. Our negative emotion is a ghost. We can call the ghost as a Mara. The physical Mara, emotional Mara, and then what do you call the fear of death Mara, and then the ego Mara. So we call this 4 Maras. So as long as we are attached to the notion of your body and a name and a gender and your nationality, your ethnicity, your position as me, you are a ghost in the fullest sense. You're grasping to this name and a gender and something as me. And that is the composition of the 4 ghosts, 4 Maras. And because of that, your physical body is called Skanda Mara, Skanda, this physical, and then emotional, the anger, the desire, the jealousy, the fear, the resentment. This ghost is consuming us most of the time. Afflictive ghost, Then this fear of death. Never seem to be ready to die and deny to die and try to do anything to avoid death. This is causing the fear of death even more. So that's why one who meditate on the inevitability of death and process of dying and watch some people die and engage in their funerals and post-death prayers and knowing they are no longer there. And then Rahman realized, I too will be like this one day. And so you do not try to live the years you don't have. You start living the days you actually have left because you are planning to die. Because you plan to die, you will not fear to die. If you plan to live all the time and never plan to die, you will fear death. You will keep fearing death because you don't think that death will not happen, and you shouldn't plan to die. If you plan to die, which actually will happen even if you don't plan, by the way, so you can't win. So you might as well go and meet the demon. because he's coming. He's coming, and you don't avoid it. You just go, hello, I'm coming, I'm coming. He says, oh, good, you're coming. You're going to accept it. You're going to accept it gracefully when I come to fetch you. God wants you. So, so when the Lord of Death, Yamaraja, comes at your door and comes, you don't shock and disappoint him. You know? And because if you plan to die, I've been giving some talks about plan to die and start living. Yes, then you really start living. Means you be generous to people, you forgive others, you apologize your things that you have made mistakes in your life. You give things away to people who need those things than you. And then you actually create no more burden of karmic or emotional burden for you to take up the imminent departure. And because of that, you don't fear, you don't fear. It's just say you have to move from one place to another, and you have a notice, maybe say 7 weeks left before you have to move. And you have to start looking where I'm going to move, where I'm going to move, So, but if you think of not that move, then of course you will have to leave it one day. So therefore, like that, we are going to be evicted from this carcass. Even your carcass looks good, your lungs good, your liver's good, but one of the organs says, no, I'm not going to live here. I'm not going to live here. All the other organs perfectly good, but your liver failure, makes you die. So whole body becomes empty, vacant, because the ghost can't live in this. The namshe, the consciousness, cannot live on because it hasn't got the merit and lifespan and karma to support that. So your lamp only burns when it's got sufficient oil and a strong wick and good container and protected from the wind. Some flame, the lamp could be blown away, even though there's sufficient oil and good wick, but still it could not burn. Why? Because there's no sufficient merit. So there are some who die young, some who prime of youth, some at the peak of their success, some as soon as they finish degree, some as just before they were about to marry, some as soon as their first child was born. You wouldn't believe. I thought love would be wonderful after the child, but the child dies in 3 years' time. And then, so the mother and father want to see the growth of the child, to see him grow, but they lost him when he was barely 3 years old. So some die so young, some die in prime youth. Some die without any illness, just went somewhere and never came back. So death comes at so unexpected times. And so death must not be delayed and postponed, but should be anticipated. The thinking of death enables us to overcome one fear over certain issues. So if you have 20 problems that need to be solved within the next few months, think of death today. None of the 20 problems will intimidate you. Because all the problems are pardonable, forgivable. Say if you owe $2 million to the bank, you guy die tomorrow, and then the $2 million is not a problem. The bank also says, he's dead. Come on, just write it off. So why are people so afraid of death? And death actually, pardons all problems. So death is not just death of the relationship between body and the soul, but death of all problems. So death is not the cause of suffering, but attachment, wanting to live, is the cause of suffering. Death is not cause of suffering. Death is a test of our attachment. It's just the question is how many people you're attached to. The more people you're attached to, that many you will suffer. You will see people depressed. Why? He's depressed.
oh, he lost his or her this and that. He never recuperate from that. The person's been depressed ever since because someone they love so much died. And that's quite true, Even the great celebrated Gampopa, who is the founding father of Kagyupa lineage, when his children died, 2 children died one after another, he himself was a doctor, and then he thought that was bad enough. And then after a few months, his wife died. And then he realized, what the heck I'm doing with practicing medicine and trying to cure everybody's illnesses when I cannot even save my own children and wife by the medicine that I thought was amazing. Then he said, look, this is not fun, not one I'm going to keep doing. And then he went in search. He was only 42 by the time. So Gampopa was kind of experienced, a very successful man as a medical doctor, but until death hit his life, there was no Dharma practicing. But once he really accepted the death and felt and experienced death in his life, he then did everything and never looked back and practiced incredible as a bodhisattva and became the celebrated Gampopa, became the founding father of Kagyupa lineage, like teacher of the first Karmapa, you name it. All the 12 great Kagyupa founding fathers are all his disciples. Why? Because he took the death, he accepted the death as a lesson. And he feared the death, but he used the positive fear of death. Most people fearing death negatively, negating the death. He took the fear of death and then accepted the time that he's at his disposal to practice Dharma, make his life meaningful, instead of chasing money and wealth and all the worldly things. And he just renounced all of that, and he went in the cave and practiced wholeheartedly. And Shakyamuni Buddha, for instance, when he already saw an old man and sick and dead person, he had enough. He doesn't want to do any more job of king. He really want to practice. So for the Buddhists to know that death as a inevitable nature of all that is born is the good motivating factor, how to make the life meaningful by doing good instead of materialistically chasing after mundane material things and objects while ignoring the value of one's spirituality. So I would like to conclude here on this note that Buddhists always know that our loved ones, however recent or long time ago, our loved ones, parents, when they die, they will definitely remain as a ghost for the average 7 weeks. So we do the post-death 7-week rituals and prayers. We call Shirgu, 49 days. So each week we honor the ghost of the deceased. We don't call ghosts, we call the deceased. We don't want them to become ghosts, because if they become ghosts, they may stay, stuck in the house or stuck in the family, and then they may harm living beings without intentionally. Not that they wish to come harm, but they want you so much, they want to take you in the realm of the ghost, and they out of attachment. It's just like someone is falling on a cliff, and then he tried to hold you, both falls down. It's like, it's got some places, some people, when they die, they take them, other people die week after week. Why? Because the ghost is so attached to you, so strong. And maybe we also have a lot of attachment to the deceased. So the mutual attachment can just make both become ghosts one after another. So in order to avoid people turning ghost, these post-death rituals and prayers are celebrated, offered in order to communicate that this with the deceased person's consciousness, so they don't become a ghost, but they actually obtain a new positive rebirth by whatever merit and prayers that we do during that 7 weeks for their benefit. So that's why we should meditate regularly on the inevitability of the death, and the time for that is always getting nearer and nearer, and we must not put it off, but always make preparation that if death were to come tomorrow, that we don't have any regret of where we have lived. So one must practice sufficient meritorious dharma, practice bodhicitta, and not attached to the physical person or name or gender or nationality, and thinking that I, as long as I have a burden of karma and affliction, I will be forced to be born unless I become a ghost. The choice isn't better to remain as a ghost. Choice is better to find a happier rebirth. If that was, if possible, we don't want to be born in the samsara at all. So with this attitude, the ghosts are many, because ghosts are not visible. And it's not just during Halloween week that the ghost appears. In Chinese tradition, they think the 7th month is the month of ghosts. They have a whole month is month of ghosts. And so that's in the Western, they only have these few days. You know, it's quite they only could like an anniversary or something. The Chinese whole month is very good. But Tibetan, no, anytime, you know. Anytime who's dead last week, and he or she will be a ghost for 7 weeks. So there's always a lot of people dying all the time. So there will be lots of spirits and ghosts that are lost, and particularly those killed in violence and war, and they will definitely become ghosts. They will be very difficult to find rebirth because they're killed in such a violent tragedy and mass murder in such aggression. They will become terrible ghosts. So that's why we do regular practices, praying for the living as well as for the deceased. Our marriage should be dedicated so that the soul or the spirits of the deceased are not lost to become ghosts that will haunt the house and home, but will find themselves a new rebirth to be born. And Buddha himself therefore went to visit his mother, who was reborn as a goddess in the heavenly realm, but he didn't see her, of course, because he was so young, and she died, and he went to repay her kindness. You know, he repay her kindness. So even Buddha, you know, took leave from this world for 3 months, and it is said he taught Abhidharma to her in the heavenly realm, and telling her where she was in relation to the rest of the world was, you know, and where she left as a queen mother. And now she's like a goddess in the 33 realm, and even though they have there, but they don't have real Dharma, and then there he went as the taught the Dharma, and so teaching and practicing whatever we do, and dedicating for all. Sometimes we call 7 worlds. 7 worlds includes the 6 realms plus the Pardo realm. Pardo realm is the ghost realm, and the ghost realm is a chock-a-block. There are so many, because the Pardo realm is like an airport lounge, you know, and people coming this way, people coming this way, some people coming, some people leaving. So the Pardo lounge is very busy. Pardo lounge is very busy, and they're all lost there. So we should always offer prayers there of the existence of Pardo sentient beings who die in great tragedy and violence, and offer the prayers fittingly. So with this, we will conclude. Thank you very much for preparing those questions, everybody being here, and nice to have it from here in Virupa, which we normally don't get to do very much. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Rinpoche, thank you. Thank you all online for tuning in and everyone in person today. We will have another Q&A session with Rinpoche. Tune in. The next session we will discuss, are we living in a simulation from a Buddhist perspective? Because as Rinpoche just mentioned, you know, there's this idea, especially people that are not familiar with the Buddhist teachings, that someone can go from earth and visit their mother in another heavenly realm. So I think those things will be explained by Rinpoche at the next Q&A. So all things existentialist. So see you all soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll do a short dedication of merits from this session for all the sentient beings who have, in last few weeks, have died, and natural cause of death, or particularly those who are killed in terrible war and violence. So. Om Bade Mere Mere Hovaga Dadeva Enzege Neze Mehale Ere Raberane Ajana Bada Dezinege Erenda Ayana Jije Adeva Ereraya Mehobe Bekasala Jehoda Ayana Jije Ereja Majujene Azama Dabadadela Walove Ode Raja de Mede Salam Kaba Peranaya Thank you all.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Phil. Take care.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, guys. Bye.